Hi there, and welcome to the Daily Gardener, and thank you for listening. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's January 23rd. Today we celebrate the amateur botanist who was a two-time governor of South Carolina and the birthday of a French modernist painter who loved peonies. We'll learn about a man who brought European grapes to California and the most important Prussian garden artist of the 19th century. Today's Unearthed Words feature a poem about January, and we grow that garden library with a book that helps us truly see plants. I'll talk about a garden item that's absolutely adorable, and they come in a 6-pack, so you'll have plenty for gifts. And then we'll wrap things up with a charming journal entry from one of my favorite garden writers. But first, let's catch up on a few recent events. Here's today's curated articles. First up is a post out of the Phipps Conservatory and Botanical Gardens based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Their upcoming Orchid and Tropical Bonsai show is going to be out of this world, and that's the theme. Out of this world. And the illustrations and artwork for this show are truly spectacular. I love them. In the Phipps press release, it says, at this all-new show, guests will enjoy hundreds of star-shaped and otherworldly orchids, plus their cosmic collection of tropical bonsai. Escape from the cold and embark on an interplanetary adventure right inside the display rooms of their Victorian glass house. The Orchid and Tropical Bonsai Show opened January 18th and runs through March 8th. If you'd like to read more about the Orchid and Bonsai Show, just search for Orchid in the Daily Gardener community on Facebook, and this post will pop right up. And then next up is a post from the English Garden called How to Sow Microleaves and Sprouting Seeds. Want a quick, tasty crop any time of year? Well, microleaves and sprouting seeds are the answer. You don't even need any special equipment. The English Garden did an excellent job introducing the concept of microgreens in this post. If you're going a little crazy and you want to start growing something on your kitchen countertop, microgreens are just the ticket. You can grow crops like white mustard seeds or even alfalfa with its tiny little pea pod flavor. And don't forget that pea shoots are lovely when they're mixed into salads. If you're interested in reading more about this post for yourself, just search for micro, and this post will pop up in the listener community for the show. Now, if you'd like to check out these curated articles for yourself, you're in luck because I share all of it with the listener community in the free Facebook group for the show. It's called the Daily Gardener Community, and all you have to do to join this group is the next time you're on Facebook, just head on up to the search bar, type in Daily Gardener Community, request to join, and then I'll admit you into the group. And don't forget, this group is 100% free, so you'll get to see all of the articles that I curate for you during the week. There's no spam, just good garden articles. Here's today's brevities. Today is the anniversary of the death of a two-time governor of South Carolina, the founder of the University of South Carolina, a writer and a botanist, John Drayton, who died on this day in 1822. Drayton grew up in Charleston, a hub of botanical activity. He knew the French royal gardener André Michaux and his son, who had settled in the area. The Michauds introduced the camellias and Indian azaleas. Joel Roberts Poinsett, the man who discovered the poinsettia, was also a son of Charleston. And the gardener Chancellor Waddy Thompson and Benjamin Perry also helped to shape the horticulture scene in the Greenville area. Drayton is remembered for his 1807 unpublished book, The Carolinian Florist. Drayton listed almost 1,000 plants, when they flowered, and where they could be found. Drayton presented his work to the South Carolina College Library in 1807. The University South Carolina Society published the work in 1943. Drayton explored Paris Mountain in the Greenville area. He discovered the fragrant yellow honeysuckle, Lonicera flava, commonly known as yellow honeysuckle, growing on the south side of Paris Mountain. The name Lonicera was derived from the name of the German herbalist Adam Lonitzer. The specific epithet flava and variations all reference the yellow or yellowish color of the flowers. Honeysuckle is also known as woodbine or goat's leaf. And today is the birthday of the French modernist painter Edouard Manet, who was born on this day in 1832. Manet's painting, Music in the Tuileries Gardens, was his first significant work depicting modern city life. Manet grew peonies in his garden at Gennevilliers. They were reportedly his favorite flower. Manet's paintings of peonies were the perfect marriage of his skill and the subject. Manet's loose brushwork was perfect for the petals and the leaves. When the explorer Marco Polo saw peonies for the first time, he wrote that they were roses as big as cabbages. In Chinese, the peony is known as the shou yu, which means most beautiful. Traditionally, peonies are used to celebrate the 12th wedding anniversary. And if you planted one on your 12th wedding anniversary, the peony would probably outlive you. Peonies can live for over 100 years. And today, the Hungarian vintner Augustin Haraszty bought 1,400 varieties of grapevines from Europe to California, and he planted the first vineyard in the Sonoma Valley in California on this day in 1862. Haraszty's family was Hungarian nobility. Haraszty had gotten hold of a book that reported the Wisconsin Territory offered the finest land in America. So, in 1840, Haraszty immigrated to the United States. He quickly discovered Wisconsin was not the place for growing grapes. In short order, Haraszty made his way to San Francisco during the gold rush. But San Francisco was not a fit with the grapes either. It was foggy and cold. But then in 1857, Haraszty found the place that the writer Jack London called the Valley of the Moon, or Sonoma Valley. After a dozen years of searching, Haraszty had found a place suitable for growing purple gold, and it was perfect for growing European grapes, which were more delicate and finicky than North American wild grapes. Giddy with hope, Haraszty built a white villa for his wife and 6 children on a property he named Buena Vista, or Good View. Haraszty also brought many European growing methods to his estate. First, he grew the grape plants close together. This was something other growers found unwise. But Harristy knew that growing grapes in proximity to each other stressed the vines, which in turn made better tasting grapes. Second, Harristy was the first vine dresser to grow his grapes on the mountainside. And there's an old saying that the god of wine, Bacchus, loved the hills. Well, Harristy's grapevines loved them too. Finally, Harristy performed a green harvest, something no one had ever heard of, least of all Harristy's neighbors. Today, the technique is known as dropping fruit. It merely means doing an initial early harvest of some of the grapes. The benefit of fewer grapes on the vine is that it improves the flavor of the remaining grapes. Harristy also brought in a team of Chinese laborers, and they worked to dig out the first wine caves in the state. The most impressive accomplishment included a 100-foot-deep stone wine cellar built on the side of a hill. In 1863, Harristy incorporated his vineyard as the Buena Vista Vinicultural Society. Thanks to investors, Harristy purchased an additional 4,000 acres, making Buena Vista the second largest vineyard in the state. 3 years later, in 1866, a vine disease swept through the area. Harristy's neighbors reactively blamed his growing methods for the small, tasteless grapes and the brown, dying vines. In reality, the disease was phylloxera, which is caused by an aphid that attacks vine roots. Phylloxera causes grapes to harden on the vine. It wiped out Buena Vista, and Harristy filed for bankruptcy. With his vineyard and his reputation in tatters, Harristy went south to Nicaragua. He planted a massive sugar plantation, and he planned to make and sell a new beverage, rum. But on July 6, 1869, as he was reaching for a vine while crossing a river on his property, he lost his balance and he fell into the river and was eaten by an alligator. Today, Harristy is remembered as the father of California viticulture or winemaking. In 1946, a plaque to Harristy was dedicated on the Plaza of Sonoma. In March of 2007, Harristy was inducted into the Vintners Hall of Fame by the Culinary Institute of America. And today is the anniversary of the death of the Prussian landscape architect and gardener Peter Joseph Lenny, who died on this day in 1866. Lenny is regarded as the most important Prussian garden artist of the 19th century. He was the director of the Royal Botanic Gardens in Berlin and Potsdam. Peter came from a long line of gardeners. In many respects, his accomplishments mirror those of his younger colleague across the ocean, Frederick Law Olmsted. Lenny co-founded a Royal Horticultural Society in Germany. He worked tirelessly designing parks and landscape areas with green spaces. Lenny admired William Kent, whom he named the father of the new landscape architecture. Lenny established English landscape garden designs in Germany, and many of his designed spaces are now UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Lenny's legacy includes over 100 designed spaces, from parks and gardens to canals and avenues. And Rauch memorialized Lenny with a large bust in the garden of the New Palace in Potsdam. The Magnolia Lenny variety was named in his honor. Today, the Peter Joseph Lenny Prize of Berlin awards fresh and creative ideas for design, planning, and use of plants in garden architecture and landscape planning. And it was on this day in 2009 that the Denver Post reported that a retired English professor and amateur botanist named Al Schneider and a Colorado State University botany student named Peggy Lyon discovered a new plant in the Asteraceae family, or the sunflower family, and it was called Gutierrezia elegans. Al and Peggy named their variety elegans for its elegant qualities of symmetry. The common name of the plant that they discovered is the lone mesa snakeweed. Gutierrezia is a group of flowering plants that are native to Western North America and Western South America. Native peoples have regarded this plant family as an essential source of medicine, and plants of this genus are known generally as snakeweeds or matchweeds. Today's unearthed words are from John Updike, his poem simply called January. The days are short, the sun a spark, hung thin between the dark and dark. Fat, snowy footsteps track the floor, and parkas pile up near the door. The river is a frozen place, held still beneath the trees' black lace. The sky is low, the wind is gray. The radiator purrs all day. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, The Cabaret of Plants by Richard Mabey. Richard Mabey has a passion for plants that comes through in this beautiful book called The Cabaret of Plants. I love that title. As a naturalist, Richard says he has written a story about plants as authors of their own lives, and an argument that ignoring their vitality impoverishes our imaginations and our well-being. Mabey is a naturalist with the voice of a poet. He challenges ordinary perceptions of plants, that they're inactive, that they are background, or that they are simply props for the outdoors. Like Peter Wollenben, Mabey sees plants as having a self. The Cabaret of Plants is loaded with beautiful stories and tidbits from science and literature and botany. It's engaging and challenging and inspiring. Mabey has been interacting with the natural world for over 4 decades. His 1972 book called Food for Free was revolutionary and taught readers how to forage. This book came out in 2015, and you can get a used copy of The Cabaret of Plants by Richard Mabey and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for under $5. And here's today's great gift for gardeners. It's a 6-pack of these cute owl ceramic pots. They're perfect for succulents or cactus or little plant starts. Each owl is different, but the overall look is consistent if you want to group them, maybe on a silver tray or on a piece of wood. These 6 little mini owl planters will add a little charm. Each have their own unique owl face. They've got little button eyes and beaks, and they'll make you smile each time you see your little collection of owls. You can keep one for yourself or give them all away. They're a sweet little gift for teachers or for friends. And you can get this 6-pack of owl pots and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for $19.99. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. It was on this day in 1942 that the garden writer Elizabeth Lawrence wrote to her friend, the playwright Anne Preston Bridgers. We had thin toast and your wild strawberry jam for tea this afternoon by the fire in my studio. Bessie and I took a salad and a pan of rolls and went to have supper with your family last night. Mrs. B insisted upon adding both ham and chicken. We had Blanche's walnuts for dessert. And Robert and I made Cleopatra's, not so good somehow, like the ones at Christmas. I must put the puppy to bed before he chews up all the files of Gardening Illustrated. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.